Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good morning to everyone and doctor. First of all, I want to introduce myself. My name is FADILAH BINTI RAHIM. My matrix number D2025111918. So today I will be presenting about the research that we conducted at school, namely Sekolah Menengah Kebangsaan Proton City, Tanjung Malim, Perak. The title of our study is A Student Participation in the Classroom, the study of social factors influencing student learning motivation. So what is sociology? Sociology is a field of science that studies human behavior, social relationships, social institution and interaction processes that occur in everyday life. So the title of the study, which is Student Participation in the Classroom, a study of social factors influencing student learning motivation, focuses on the relationship between social factors and student learning motivation in the classroom. And this study was chosen because active student participation in the classroom is currently facing a motivation crisis in learning. In the study, there are three research objectives. First, to identify social factors that influence motivation for learning. Second, to analyze the level of student engagement in the classroom. And lastly, to examine the role of teachers in enhancing student engagement and motivation. For your information, this study applies sociological theories such as symbolic interactionism, conflict theory, and functionalist theory.
Good day everyone, my name is Zulaikha Atira binti Muhammad Zahir, matric number D2025111927. Today, I will be presenting the research methodology for our field study. To address our objective and explore the microsociology of the classroom, this study adopts a qualitative research design. This approach is uniquely suited for our investigation as it allows for an in-depth, nuanced exploration of human experience and social interaction. Moving on to our participant and sampling technique, we applied a purposive sampling technique. Through these three experienced educators from SMP Proton City Tanjung Malim, designed as Respondent 1, Respondent 2, and Respondent 3, were selected to provide high-quality pedagogical insight. For our data collection method, the primary instrument used was semi-structured interview. This session were audio recorded and the file was subsequently transcribed verbatim to preserve analytical precision and the authentic expression of the educators. In terms of our data analysis procedure, the transcribed text underwent a rigorous process of thematic analysis. This involved a depth familiarization with the data, generating initial codes, and grouping them into broader conceptual themes, heavily informed by symbolic interactionism theory and functionalism theory. Finally, to ensure the trustworthiness of this study, we strictly implement three quality control measures. First, credibility was established through member checking, where interview transcript was shared back to the respondent to confirm the accuracy of the data. Second, dependability was maintained by keeping a clear audit trail that documents every step of the research process. Third, confirmability ensured that our findings strictly reflected the explicit experiences of the educator rather than personal researcher's bias. While conducting this fieldwork, we faced challenges regarding sensitive structural issues like student alienation and passivity. We successfully overcame this from a sociological perspective by carefully structuring our prompt to maintain complete participant confidentially while uncovering how teachers' immediacy can reconstruct a classroom social order.
Assalamualaikum and very good morning to everyone. My name is IIYLIA binti BAHARUDIN and my matric number is D2025111920. Today, I would like to present our research finding about the social factor that influence student learning motivation. Based on our research finding, there are several social factors that influence student learning motivation. First, according to Respondent 1 and Respondent 3, peer influence plays an important role in student motivation. Positive friends can increase student motivation and encourage better study habits, while negative peer behavior can reduce motivation to learn. Students spend most of their time interacting with friends at school, so peer groups strongly affect their attitude towards learning. Next, respondent 2 stated that digital media usage affects student learning motivation. Excessive use of TikTok, YouTube, and AI tools can distract students and reduce their focus during learning. Students may spend more time on entertainment rather than academic activities. Lastly, according to Respondent 1 and Respondent 2, family support is also important in improving student motivation. Parents' involvement, encouragement, and emotional support help students stay motivated and improve their academic performance. In conclusion, peer influence, digital media usage, and family support are important social factors that affect student learning. Thank you.
Good day to everyone. My name is MARNISHA binti Majedi, matrix number D2025119173, and I'm currently pursuing Bachelor of Education in Malay Language with honors at University Pendidikan Sultan Idris. Now, I will present the data for our second research objective, which looks at the level of student engagement in the classroom. The analysis showed that engagement is not a fixed rate, but a changing social action. We have divided this finding into 3 simple dimensions. Dimension 1 is high student engagement. Our findings show that engagement is very high during active learning and learning games. This matches symbolic interactionism theory, where group activity helps students feel confident to learn. For example, Respondent 3 said students are highly cooperative during hands-on activities. They actively take notes and compete to finish tasks on time. Respondent 2 also agreed, saying when we do group presentation or use quizzes, the whole classroom atmosphere change. Even passive students start talking to their friends to get answers. Dimension 2 is low student engagement. The data show that traditional one-way lectures make students lose focus very fast. This relates to social stratification and labeling theories, where separating students by academic levels can create a group that rejects school rules. As shared by Respondent 2, traditional one-way lectures cause rapid detachment. Students easily get drowsy or start daydreaming when the lesson is too theoretical. Furthermore, Respondent 1 highlighted the reality in lower performing classes, saying managing lower performing tracks is completely different. They tend to mind their own business and ignore the worksheets. Dimension 3 is restructuring classroom order. To solve the problem of quiet students in lower classes, teachers must act directly. This is about using institutional authority to fix the classroom environment. This is proven by Respondent 1 who shared, "I have to physically move from desk to desk and use an assertive voice to call them out. That is the only way to regain authority and pull them back into the lesson. These direct actions are important to bring passive students back into the lesson."
Hello everyone, my name is Siti HAJAR binti NORDIN, matrix number D2025119188. Moving on the next part of our presentation, let's look at the role of teachers in enhancing student engagement and motivation. As we found from our interviews, teachers are not just a knowledge transmitters, they are the ultimate social driver in the classroom. Based on our research findings and a sociological theories like a symbolic interactionism, we can break down the teacher's role into 4 main areas. First, teachers need to implement interactive pedagogical methods alike with the 21st Century Learning or PAK21 framework. Respondent 1 highlighted that using small group structure, specifically 3 or 4 members, is highly effective because it ensures individual accountability and stops students from slacking off. Furthermore, as a Respondent 3 pointed out, today's students are a digital native. Therefore, integrating tools like a quizzes and a word wall help prevent boredom and keep them actively engaged. Second, teachers play a huge role in providing praise, reward, and psychological support. According to Respondent 2, simple acts of verbal praise or small rewards act as powerful social symbol. This builds a positive self-concept in students. Another great strategy mentioned was using advanced students as a peer reference, which makes them feel of value while boosting the confidence of the entire class. Third, teachers might use a proactive interventions and classroom management. We notice a pattern where students sitting at the back or in a lower performing cohort tend to show a structural passivity, meaning they are mentally tuned out. To fix this, teacher can use a teacher immediacy, which means using physical proximity, working up to their desk, and giving incentive verbal props to pull those alienated students back into the lesson. Finally, the teacher's role extends beyond just teaching into institutional collaboration and environmental management. From a functionalist perspective, education requires united social system. Teachers achieve this by working together with school counselors and external NGOs to give students continuous emotional support. Additionally, managing the physical environment is crucial. Responding to a mention that overcrowded and poorly ventilated classroom drop student motivation. So, teachers must optimize the physical space as much as possible. To wrap up this slide, enhancing a motivation requires a balance of interactive teaching, psychological reinforcement, and a proactive classroom control. Thank you.
Moving into our personal reflection as prospective educators, conducting this field research at SMK Proton City was a deeply eye-opening experience for our group. Before this study, educational sociology felt like a concept confined to a textbook. However, standing in a real school environment and listening to active teachers made us realize that sociology is the heartbeat of the classroom. We learned that when a student is passive or lack motivation, it is rarely just an individual failure. Instead, it is heavily shaped by their peer groups, family background, and immediate social interaction. This field study has fundamentally shifted our mindset, teaching us that to be an effective teacher, we must first learn to think like sociologists. Secondly, this study has given us invaluable insight on how to handle diverse classrooms in our future career. In any public school, we will face social stratification where students come from a completely different socio-economic background and possess unequal level of support. We now understand that traditional, rigid, and one-way lecture only worsens student alienation, causing lower performing cohort to complete withdrawal from the learning process. Sociological knowledge has taught us that we cannot use one-size-fits-all approach. For future classroom, we will reject negative academic labeling. We are determined to actively use teachers' immediacy and social inclusion to break down classroom barriers, ensuring that underprivileged or unmotivated students are brought back into the learning space.
In conclusion, this research clearly proves that social factors like teaching methods and the smart use of technology are strongly connected in shaping student motivation and engagement. As we can see on the slide, it is just not the teacher's job. Instead, teachers, parents, and school must work together as one system. So this collaboration is the only way to create a positive learning environment that supports students' academic growth and prepares them for 21st century learning challenges. We have seen that engagement is not fixed. It changes based on how we interact. So by moving away from boring one-way lectures and moving toward active learning, we can successfully stop students from feeling left out or isolated. So most importantly, by avoiding negative labeling, especially in lower performing classes, we can help every student build a better identity as a learner. For me, as a future educators, we have a big responsibility to break all classroom rules that make some students feel invisible. So we must remember that the classroom is a social system. Our role is to ensure that system is fair and supportive for everyone. So we should not just teach a subject. We should build a space where every single student feels that they belong and that they have a chance to succeed. So to end this presentation, I want to leave a critical question for all of us to think about. So as a future teacher, How can we make sure our daily classroom interactions help every student instead of making lower classes feel more left out?